to anybody who is here. We are the Minnesota Spirit Hunters, and we're here to just communicate.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Minnesota SpiritCast. Don't worry, this is still the same show that you know, and Market is doing some things with his family at the moment, and the other members of the Minnesota Spirit Hunters are dealing with life on life terms with jobs and such. My name is The Shadow. I will be your host for tonight, and tonight we have a really good show. And our guest, I've actually spoken with our guest before, and I really enjoyed talking to him. But before I bring him on, I do want to give a couple of quick shout outs to some very important people. The first one being Brian Laverty of PARAPOST. He has done a lot for the paranormal community to try to get us all networking together and, share ideas, share evidence, and make the paranormal a respectable field. The next would be Stephen Woodard of the PARALANX, and same thing with those guys. I've spoken with their staff personally, and I've had nothing but good, positive responses with them. So do us a favor, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, get over to Facebook, check out ParaPost Network Central and PARALANX. You will find all kinds of paranormal podcasts out there. You will not be disappointed. And I also want to give a shout out to P3. If you don't know what P3 is a community where we all, same thing as with ParaPost, but we all come together and we try to promote each other, we support each other. We try to maintain a positive vibe within the paranormal community because let's face it, what we do out there at night, things can get pretty dark with some of the cases that we investigate. So a positive mindset is extremely important. So if that's what you're looking for, P3 is definitely for you. And of course, I always want to give a shout out to people who listen. I mean, a podcast is not a podcast without those who listen, whether they listen to us on live or they catch us later on a video afterwards. So if you're watching, be sure to go to the Facebook page and YouTube channel, hit like, follow, subscribe, and also click on the notification so you're always notified when Minnesota Spirit Hunters post a new video or goes live. And without any further ado, I am going to bring on our guest. He is the host of the Don Vic Show. He has he's got an amazing show of his own with some fantastic guests. And as I always say when I meet him, respect the Don. Victor Santiago, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, Aaron? How you doing? What's up, folks? How's everybody
doing? Pretty good.
Okay,
I'm glad you were able to make it and be a part of this show because I like talking to you, and I'm sure the people would love to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
All right, Unknown Prophet, thanks for stopping by. If you're watching, if you could do another favor, if you're watching, just share it out once or twice to a couple of pages, and let's try to get more people in here. And so, the Don Vic Show.
Yes, sir.
What gave you the idea to start that podcast?
What gave me an idea to start the podcast? Well, what gave me the idea to start the podcast was I was doing music first before I did the podcast. I was doing music with my sons and stuff. And one day I went out to a movie set, and we finished shooting the movie, and there was a friend of mine there that I had a phone, and she was a host. She had her own show,
Right.
and she interviewed me with whatever. And and right after the interview, we started talking. She said, "You know what? You should try doing your own podcast. You are people's people. People like you. You got this great energy, and so on and so on." So one day I was just hanging out, and I decided, you know what? Let me try this. See what happens.
Right.
So I grabbed my phone at the time. I grabbed my phone, and it was a friend of mine that was an artist. And I said, you know what? I want to bring you on a live and kind of ask you some questions about what you do, how you study your music. And stuff. He said, sure, why not? So we did it, and the response I got from it was amazing. Like I didn't know if people was going to start logging in and logging in and leaving.
Right.
I was blown away from it. So I was like, wow, like I didn't expect that, So I said, I might have something here. I might have something going here. So after I did his interview, I set something up for the next weekend with someone else I knew, another artist that I knew, and
Right.
and I had the same response. People just kept logging in, and and then people were asking me, "Hey, can I come on your show? I like your show. Can I come on your show?" And I just kept doing it, and here I am today.
Right. So who was your first guest? I mean,
My first guest was a friend of mine. Wow, we talking now 4 years ago. My first guest. Wow, can I remember who my first guest was? Oh boy, I think it was. I think it was the host of the IC show.
okay. So when after you got done with your first podcast and you're sitting there and you're going over the show in your head, analyzing everything, what was the first thing you learned as a podcaster about the podcasting business from your first show?
What I've learned from it was the connection that I was getting with people. How I can get my word out, and also learned that I can expose people, expose their talent through social media, and that's always been big with me to promote on unknown artists or directors or any type of person that's doing something in the industry. Um, so I've learned that through this device that I can do that and give people a voice.
Right. Well, I mean, I certainly can relate to that sentiment. That's one of the reasons why, you and I both became a part of P3.
Yes.
We're meeting new people, we're networking,
Yes.
we're creating a system of support.
That's right.
Now, this next question, I'm not asking you to, tell me your worst show, because I don't want you to, say anything that could potentially upset a past guest. But thinking about the worst show, what did you learn from that show that made you realize, okay, you know what, I am not going to do that again?
Well, to tell you the truth, I haven't had a bad show.
Okay.
I've had good shows. I've had people that talk less than other people, where you have to
Right.
where you have to engage a little more than an average person.
Right.
But that would be the only bad thing that I've had encountered on my show. People that don't really are not good in front of the camera or are shy. That I have to speak out to them and kind of engage them to try to open them up a little bit. But
Right.
as far as bad shows, I don't think I had that one. And been doing this for almost 4 years now.
Oh yeah. All right. Forgive the noise you're hearing in the background. I have two turtles, and
Two turtles.
yep, I got a map and a yellow belly, and one of them thinks he's a ninja turtle, and he tries to get out, and he never succeeds. Well, I take it back. He succeeded once, He actually got out of the tank, but he fell in such a way that when we heard him hit the ground, we picked him up. He was completely shrunk into a shell and would not come out for several hours.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, Ninja Turtles in training. That's what they think they are.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
But yeah, so as you began to do more podcasts, how quickly did you realize that this was something that you really wanted to? I mean, like, you felt like this could be something that you could do for the rest of your life or for long term.
Well,
I mean, I know we all get the experience on our first show, but you know, I feel like at some point you get that validation or you get that revelation, like, okay, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. Did that happen for you quickly, or did it take a while?
um, it's good. You know, it's funny you say that because I took off rapidly. You
Right.
know, it was like show after shows after shows after shows. Um, but I actually just lost my thought of mine. What was that question again?
How soon did you realize that this was definitely something you wanted to pursue?
Oh, definitely from the energy I was getting back from my
Yeah.
viewers, you know, and the viewers, the people coming in, leaving comments, you know, and that kind of made me want to keep doing it because I was liking the energy, the comments, and I've always been a people's people, and I
Right.
like to always know what the next person is thinking or planning, you know, in their lives. You know, that
Right.
always impacted me from people because you know we're all different. You know, so
Right.
it's to me, I find it interesting to find out what the next person is thinking or what they're planning.
Well, interesting that you say that, with people thinking. One of the things that I encountered as a podcaster, and I see this a lot with a lot of people, um, sometimes people get a little discouraged, either by troll and haters or by a lack of numbers. Um, what would you tell a new podcaster? I mean, what would be like the one piece of advice you would give them to have them pursue their passion for podcasting?
Well, first of all, if this is what they want to do, they got to have a passion for it. You
Right.
know, you got to have a passion for it. You got to like it. You have to be able to communicate with people. You know, and if
Mm,
this is what you want to do, then proceed it. You know, go all the way with it. You're gonna have your ups and downs. You know, but if
right.
this is really what you want to do, then just proceed it. Really, you know, move forward.
Right. Now, you have quite a range with your entertainment side of your podcasting.
Yeah.
Um, you've also become a part of P3, a paranormal community.
Right.
And I've talked to you a little bit in the back, and I've talked to you, you know, here and there beforehand.
Hmm.
One thing I never did ask you is what paranormal event happened to you that made you have at least a curiosity about it? Have you had any?
I've I haven't had a paranormal event, but you know I've seen stuff. Okay, so one time I was in prison, right, and I was in my cell talking to my cellmate across from me, and he was into church and stuff, and
Mm,
one day we talking late night or whatever, and right before right after we spoke, I went to bed, and as I'm laying in bed, you know, I turned to the side facing the wall, and right before I close my eyes, I see something dark coming into my cell, right,
mm,
and it's just coming into my cell. It's getting darker and darker, and it's like growing on my wall. And as soon as I seen it get like halfway to where I was at, I started getting scared. You know,
Right.
my heart started beating fast, so I knew the energy wasn't good energy.
Right.
Um, and then when it came all the way into the cell, it like stood right beside me. I can feel something beside me, and I was so scared I didn't want to turn around, because I was scared. So what I did, I started praying,
Right.
and right after I finished praying, like it went away. So that's like the only experience that I ever encountered, as far as paranormal. But I've always been intrigued of it because of the stories that I've heard. I've always watched paranormal movies and documentaries. So it always caught my attention to know what's on the other side, knowing that I already had people that passed and crossed over. So I don't exactly know what I was looking for,
Right.
answers, because and and as I kept watching it, I started um, knowing what mediums were, and and I just started watching more shows and stuff like that. So that's basically what got me into it. You know, um,
Right.
just watching TV and the um, the excitement of you guys investigators going out and trying to find an answer. You
Hmm.
know, to the questions that we have, for the non-believers. At the point I was a non, I was a non-believer, but I was a believer. I was like in the middle. You know what I mean?
Right.
But now I'm a true believer of it because I've seen things, not me personally, but I seen it through you guys
Right.
investigations, through you guys uh, conversations on the P3 and Parapost network. You know, so and I've seen like Mark Lee, going through live investigations and and helping uh, people with getting identities out of their houses or spirits or
Mm.
people that have caught something, there it's inside their bodies and they help them get whatever it is in their body out, bad spirits out. So that's basically what caught me and still got me watching the paranormal.
Right. Well, a lot of times, it only takes one experience. Even if it never happens again, that one experience can stick with you for the rest of your life, and you don't need another event. Uh, and I feel like that's generally the case with with a lot of people, myself included.
Right.
I have had incidents where if it happened to anybody else, they would have done everything they could to just pass it off as something else, just because of how crazy these events are.
Mm,
But to me, because I'm already in the environment, I'm already in the situation, and something happened, if it's paranormal, I'll find out real quick. One example, my wife and I, we were staying with a friend of ours, and he had this house. Now, he took himself and his two kids and went over to his girlfriend for the weekend, so it was just me and my wife.
right.
And we're in the basement, and she was telling me that she keeps hearing some of these noises. And I knew what some of the noises were. In Minnesota, and you being in Massachusetts, you know how cold it gets.
Whew, boy.
Yeah. So sometimes when you have like these older houses that have like the old copper pipe,
Yeah.
when you start messing with the showers, you'll hear those pipes banging.
Bang clap. Yeah, yeah. I've
Yeah.
heard those.
So that happened, and I was explaining that to her. And as I'm talking to her, I hear this loud thud and footsteps running down the hall above me, like literally right above me.
Oh, wow.
And I looked at my wife, and she looked at me, and because we're the only ones in this house. So I ran upstairs. All the doors are locked. I checked all the bedrooms. There's nobody in the bedroom, nobody under the bed, nobody in the closet.
Mm,
And the only way into an attic is through a closet that you have to take stuff out of. And the wood is warped. You literally have to bang on it. So there was nobody up there. To this day, I still cannot figure out what the hell that was.
Right.
So yeah, one experience. Boom, I'm convinced.
Yeah, listen. All I needed was to see was that shadow. I was
Yep.
good, you know.
Yep.
But you know, it caused my attention because there's so many questions that I have that every time I ask the question to any investigator, I get a similar, the same similar question answer to it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what answer I'm looking for. Maybe I'm looking for something different.
Right.
Maybe I need to see something. You know, I don't know what it is, but I am intrigued to it. It calls me. Plus, I'm spiritual. You know, I come from a family that's very spiritual. My great grandmother, my mother. You know, we all have a talent. We all have. I think my mother was a medium, and my grand grandmother, she was just off the hook. My grandmother was a healer. She did herbs, and she was very special. Um,
Right.
One time, I'll tell you a story. One time, my great grandmother, my mother's mother's mother, she used to live in Puerto Rico, and she lived down this big steep hill. There was no lights. When it was dark, I mean, it was dark. And you couldn't see. You couldn't even see the road.
Right.
Okay, and I remember going there with my mom as a little kid, and how you would know that my grandmother was home. She always had this candle, and you can see it from way on the top of the hill because
Right.
she used to live in the bottom by the river, and no one used to go there. No, at night, no, everyone was scared to go there because my great grandmother used to wear a long white dress, and she had long white hair down to the almost the back of her legs, right?
Mm.
And a little brown skin, like Indian looking, and you know she was by herself. So one day, she was sitting in her. My mother was telling me, and my grandmother, that one day she was sitting in her living room, in her rocking chair. I think she was sewing or doing something, and three guys came in to rob her with
Mm.
masks on. And when they walked into the house to rob her, she looked at them and she called them by their name without even knowing who they were. She called
Right.
them by their name and she said, "You're gonna die like this, you're gonna die like that, and you're gonna die like this." And exactly how she said, those three guys died the same way my grandmother said. So, so she seen things, you know.
Right.
She was very um, everyone in that neighborhood when they were sick, when they went to the doctors and the doctors couldn't heal them, they'll go to my grandmother. My grandmother will heal them right away with her herbs and her spices that she used to do from the wood. Because every my great grandmother never went to the store to buy anything. Everything my great grandmother ate was from what she grew or from what um uh
People paid her with.
yeah, or with the woods would give her like mangoes, bananas,
Right.
and
Right.
yams that grew up in you know by the river and stuff. That's how she lived. She lived to be like 100 and something years old.
Okay. Well, so this question I ask once in a while when I meet people who have any kind of Latin ancestry. Um, and I only ask this because there is a lot of people who talk about this, but never really fully understand. And maybe you can enlighten us a little bit. Was she a part or a practitioner of Santeria?
Santeria.
Yeah,
Um,
Santeria, yes. Sorry.
Santeria. I would say yes, and I would say no. Like she didn't practice anything with that had to do with like blood or nothing like that.
Right.
Chickens and nothing like that. That's like Santeria Brujeria, you know, which is
Right.
two different things, but it's like on the same thing. But she
Okay.
was more like a healer.
Right.
You know, she would heal and she would see things.
Yeah,
But
and like I said, I was only asking because I know um, I've heard people, when I say Santeria, I get that reaction like, I just spoke with the devil.
right,
And
yeah,
honestly, as a Christian, you know, I am taught to, not mess with that.
right.
But
Some,
as an intellectual, as somebody who likes to study, I don't see Santeria being like a satanic practice. You know what I
well,
mean? You know what I'm getting at?
yeah, because it all depends on how you use Santeria. You can use Santeria
Right,
for good, or you can use it for bad. You know,
right.
so it all depends on the individual, on
Okay,
what are they practicing. Are they practicing for evil stuff, or they practicing for good?
right.
And some Santerias, they do the chicken, and they do the candle stuff, and they do their uh, um um the praying for to heal as well, to heal or to protect.
Mm,
And it's like, I won't say like the voodoo, because voodoo is different, and not all voodoo is bad voodoo either,
right,
because
right,
voodoo and Santeria is the same. If you do voodoo, you can do voodoo for good, or you can do voodoo for bad. So it really depends on the individual, on what they're using it. But
right.
my grandmother she was neither. She was a healer of herbs, and she could, she would rub her hands on certain spots on your body, and pain will go away, and heal you, and those things, those type of, and she can see things, like she can see like the future type of thing.
Right.
She'll say things to us or my mom. It may not happen like right then and there or the next week, but it'll eventually happen 2, 3 weeks later, a month later, 2 months later. Boom,
Right.
it'll happen. Um,
Has she ever pulled that on you, and said something to you, and you've been like, "Get out of here, Grandma," and then all of a sudden, a little bit later, you're like, "Oh crap, she's right. I'm so sorry, Grandma. I'm so sorry." Have
what
you ever
she
had a
did,
moment like that?
yeah, I was very small, and what she said to me was, she said, "You're special." She said, "You have something. You have a glow with you that overshines your other siblings." She
Right.
said, "You're gonna be someone someday." And I didn't get. I was young. And I was into sports and all types of boxing. So I didn't really know what she meant.
Right.
Um, but I'm starting to see it. Out of my family, I'm the only one in the entertainment world. I'm the only one always pushing to become different, and to be that person in the family that say, "Hey, I made it, and now I can turn around and take care of you guys." Um,
Right.
so yeah, she did say that to me when I was small. She said, "You special. You got something. You got a glow on you." And as I got older, and I met other people, Latinos, and regular American people, told
Mm,
me the same thing. He's say, "Hey, you're special." Like, I had this one lady that said to me one day, I was hanging out with all my boys on the block. We were just chilling, and this lady always looked out the window. She was always out the window. And one day, she calls me over. Right? She goes, "Victor," and I go, "What's up?" Because I was wild. I was a wild boy, but
mm,
I was a good dude. You know what I mean? I
yeah.
was respectful. People liked it me, um, but I was living the street life. So
Right.
one day she calls me. She says, "Come here for a second." And I walk over to a window because she lived on the first floor. And I said, "What's up, Miss Mary?" She said, "Why are you hanging with those guys over there? Those guys ain't no good." I said, "Those are my boys. I got to hang out." She's like, "You're different." So what do you mean? She goes, you got something special with you. You got a glow with you. And when she said that, it brought me way back to when I was little, to when my great grandmother said that to me. You know,
Right.
so I started to believe it. I mean, maybe I am special. And she said, you're a leader. And I started putting all that in my head, which it was true because I always led. When I was on the street doing whatever, I was always the leader of everything I did. Everywhere I went,
Right.
I was always the front man. Everybody followed. So she said, you're special. So that brought me back to when my great grandmother said that. And now today that I'm older and I'm in this industry, I see what she was saying.
Right.
I can see it now. I'm in this industry where I'm a talk show host. I'm doing pretty well, with it. I'm also acting, and I'm into the filming industry, and doors are opening now for me as far as filming, and I'm getting invited to big events and private events where
Right.
stars are at, celebrities, and those are things that I seen me in when I was small, when I was younger. I seen myself in the industry. I seen myself meeting these celebrities, and I'm on my way. I met a few. I met a few. You know, uh, but I think that there is a bigger picture for me. There's
Hmm.
something bigger for me out there that God has for
Right. Real quick. No, Raymond, or should I say Taman,
me.
Marcus did not change his hair, but I will say I do got the look that Marcus doesn't have.
Yeah.
um, so back to the industry. I mean, when you look at your life and you're going from rags to royalty.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Well, I mean, I honestly, I look back at my life and I kind of had a similar situation. I haven't been messed around, getting involved with gang, getting involved with.
Right.
At one point, I was a drug user, dealer, and runner all at once.
I was the same. I was in the
Yeah,
same
and
boat.
so when you go from that hard street life, and then there was a moment when I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, that I met up with some people and I was able to do a mural on a floor for an adult shop. But before they opened, they cleared everything out and turned it into an art gallery for my work. They had wine imported from other countries, you know, and for that brief moment, having gone from rag to royalty,
Hmm.
being in the spotlight, being somebody that, and I don't like using this term, but being somebody that the world is starting to see,
Mm.
really changed my perspective on life. Because in reality, I don't like.
Sorry. That's me. Let me call you back, Millie.
All right,
All right.
here I will put you on mute for a moment so that. Okay, yeah. Um, I'll try to get my phone on mute here if
That
mine
was
does
my
the same
phone.
thing. Well, you got a Motorola?
Yeah.
So do I. I hate that ring.
It is a Motorola. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not really a people person. I like talking to people, but I don't like being in big crowds. I don't like being the center of attention, which is one of the things that my wife thinks is so funny about me being on a podcaster.
Yeah.
So for you, going from that street life to where you are now, did you really ever see yourself being like this at this point in time in your life?
Well, I always knew that I had the ability to become someone,
Right.
because I knew I had it in me. Um, I just didn't know what road it was going to be, if it was going to be sports, you know, if it was going to be boxing, I mean, if it was going to be music, or entertainment like I am now. I just didn't know where I was going to fit in, but I always knew that I had the potential to become someone, someone I would say important or something, if that's okay to say, I guess, someone.
I get what you're saying. I mean, and that's the issue I have.
You know, I don't. I mean, the energy that I carry is always been in me. I'm a people's people, like, and I fit in everywhere I go because I interact with people.
Right.
So I always had that entertainment in me. You know, I just didn't know where it was going to take me. But
right.
And it took me here. It took me to a podcast, and it took me to acting. So I'm in both worlds right now.
Right. And how'd that feel for you now? I mean, you know, you live your life so long, that fast life, that street life, that carefree life. How did it feel to be this way now?
It feels phenomenal. It feels great because in the process of me becoming who I am today, I've learned so much of who I am as a person. You know, I've learned to my life has taught me how to learn how to listen more, respect more, be more loyal to myself and to others, learn how to love, you know, coming from a cold heart, you know, so, you know, I wouldn't give that up for anything now, you know, because my life has changed dramatically.
Right.
And, I love who I am today, you know, because not the fact that I can talk to someone and maybe help them change their life.
Right, for sure.
You know, to me, that's very, very important when someone has that type of influence on someone where you can just vocally say something or tell a story and change and touch someone. That's a gift. Not a lot of people can do that. So the fact that my life has changed for me to become a better man and to be able to touch hearts, listen, that's amazing. I love who I am today.
Right. Well, I'm going to take a moment to play a couple of commercials, and we'll definitely get back to talking because I'm really enjoying this conversation. So stick around. The first one I'm going to play is the P3 family video. And as I said before, if you don't know who P3 is,
you're going to learn today.
Yep. Definitely check it out. Definitely check them out and be a part of a community, you know, that focuses on positive vibes. So, yeah, we'll be right back.
It's been coming up like sun above. It's making us come together. Been making plans and joining hands. Come by me, stand and come together. When they know we've had enough, they'll try and call our bluff. But no, there's no stopping us. We're making a promise. Yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. Oh, yeah, we're starting up something. We're starting up something. They say we're weak, but they don't see us come together. Behind closed doors, we choose love, not war. It's at our core when we come together. They will hear us loud and clear. We'll walk right through the fear, and then once we'll all appear and say, we're standing right here, come on. Yeah, we're starting up something, we're starting up something, oh. Yeah, we're starting up something, we're starting up something, oh. Yeah, we're starting up something, we're starting up something, oh. Yeah, we're starting up something, we're starting up something, oh. Yeah, we're starting up something, we're starting up something, oh. Yeah, we're starting up something.
I love that song, boy. That turns me up. You heard? I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. And now that we've gotten to this point, we talked earlier about beginning podcasting, and we've kind of briefly talked about haters and trolls. What would you tell new podcasters as far as encountering that kind of behavior?
Well, we humans, right? And
I mean, my response is I would tell them, tell those haters and trolls, go kiss your bender.
true.
What would you tell them?
I would tell them keep hating on me,
Right.
because we got to understand as people, we're always going to have haters, right? And just like podcasting is my job, podcasting is your job. A hater's job is to hate. So we can't change a hater from hating. So I'm not going to sit here and give them my energy, right? Because regardless, they're going to keep doing what they're doing. So I learned to accept it. What I do is I take the energy and I turn it into something positive. So that negativity gives me energy, because I know they want my failure. I know they want me not to succeed. So that gives me more energy to succeed and to show them that I am going to make it. I am going to be someone.
Right.
So at the end of the day, a hater is going to be a hater, and we just can't change that. So we're going to learn to accept it and move from it, or are we just going to feed to it? And I don't feed to that. I use all that negativity and turn it into positivity.
Right. So with your podcast in particular, what were your top 3 shows that you liked, out of all of them? What were your top 3 that you enjoyed the most?
Oh boy. So many. My top 3.
Yeah, and right about now, where people usually tell me I'm an asshole because I like to put people on the spot.
Yeah, you got me on that one. Because I don't want to leave no one out, because I've had so many great shows.
Okay.
And everybody's been great.
Let me ask the question this way then. What show taught you the most about podcasting?
What show taught me more about podcasting?
This way, you're not singling a person out, but you're thinking about that whole experience and how it affected the way you podcast today.
I would say with Sandy Johnson. Sandy Johnson, impacted me a lot because, Sandy Johnson, for those that don't know who Sandy Johnson is she played in the movie Halloween with Michael Myers.
Okay,
She was the first. She was the sister of Michael Myers in the movie 1978, and just looking at her when I was small, looking at the
Mm-hmm.
movie. This is before I even thought about becoming a podcast.
Right.
Um, just following her movies and stuff, and to have her on my show and talking to her live, like you and I are talking,
Right.
showed me how far I came as far as a podcaster. You know,
Right.
to be able to talk to someone that I used to look up to as a kid in a movie, actually
Mm-hmm.
having them sitting right across, on my show, conversating with them, taught me so much, of how much work I've put in, how
Right.
hard I've been working to get these. To me, she's a celebrity. To get a celebrity like herself on my show, and it it just taught me that our work does pay off. And if you really want something, you know, as far as you're 100% into it and you're dedicated to it, then anything that you put your mind to is possible. So I would say that show was about my podcast because it showed me what level I can take this to.
Right.
When I started, I was with artists, friends of mine, and I brought the show to a level where not a lot of people can say that. Not a lot of people can say they've had the guests I've had, and not that they can't have them, but it just shows how hard I've worked
Right.
and how much effort I put into what I do as a talk show host. So I would say Sandy Johnson. I think that was the show that taught me more about what
Yeah,
my
because I actually remember her. Now that you mentioned where she was, I mean, I know exactly who you're talking about.
right. I forgot her name in the movie what it was. It was Michael Myers and forgot her name in the movie. Uh,
Yeah, it's been so long since I've seen the original.
Yes, she's the original. She
Yeah,
is the original when it first came out. So big shout out to Sandy Johnson too, by the way.
for sure. Um, and a lot of times I feel like when we talk about working hard for something, people don't really understand what that means. I mean,
Oh man,
yeah,
it's
I'm pretty sure you've heard this expression, nothing worth having is easy.
right. Good things don't come easy.
Right,
That's a fact. Good things do not come easy.
right. So I don't know, I'll have this be the last question for the night. And this one kind of, you got a little time, you got some time to kind of answer this question. With all the A-list people, all the people that are in the A-list of the entertainment industry, give me 5 names of people you would like to have on your show.
Oh man, 5 people I would love to have on my show. I would love to have Al Pacino,
Okay.
Denzel Washington,
Mm, I like him.
um, uh, Sylvester Stallone,
Okay.
um, uh, Harrison Ford.
Okay, now you're talking to my heart. I am such a Star Wars nerd. I have a reprint of the original poster. I have
Okay.
toys, Star Wars toys all over.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm bad.
And Tom Cruise.
Okay. So, Denzel Washington, I love him. I may not agree with everything he says,
Yeah.
but I have the utmost respect for him because he doesn't mince words and he encourages you to find out for yourself. You know, he doesn't come off as some of these celebrities. I see so many celebrities doing this. They come off with this kind of personality like they're the end of the line for knowledge. You know, that they're the ones who know everything. They know better. And that's frustrating because there are so many actors out there that I really like, but because of that attitude, I would not want to meet them in person. Denzel Washington is not one of those.
No, he's
I would love to shake his hand, even if he's saying something I don't agree with.
Right, right.
You know, that's how you know you respect somebody, when you can be on such polar opposites and still be willing to sit down and talk with them.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's another one that's like that.
Oh man, he's
being so laid back.
If you notice, everyone that I mentioned is truly laid back.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Tom Cruise. I've heard he's a little, cocky and stuff, but overall, I love his movies.
Yeah.
I love his movies, and
with Tom Cruise, I don't really find him cocky as much as I find him a very intense personality.
mm-hmm.
I don't agree with his position with Scientology,
Right.
but again, he's one of those people where he wants you to. I remember it was something about psych medication for kids, and he had a very strong anti-position on that. And he was like, if do the research, go read this, go check this out.
Right.
So yeah, Tom Cruise is another one of those that I can respect him and shake his hand, even though I don't agree with everything he said.
Right.
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah. The man.
I've always liked him.
Rambo.
The last Rambo he did.
Oh, man.
The last Rambo he did.
I just seen it.
That's the one movie that actually made me cringe. Because the one scene when he's down, I think he was down in Mexico, and he found one of the guys that kidnapped the girl that he was the daughter of his.
Yeah.
And he stick that knife in there and then pulled it out and stick his fingers in there and pulled the collarbone apart.
His heart out. You seen it?
I broke my collarbone.
Oh wow.
So when I watched him do that to that guy's shoulder, I was just like,
yeah. He stuck his finger. Kept snapping it. Yeah.
Because I know exactly how that felt, and I'm not gonna lie, he's in pretty damn good shape for his age.
Oh yeah, yes he is. He is, man. He stay working out, man.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger used to be that way, but he kind of let himself go.
yeah, he did. You got to remember too. Sylvester Stallone, when he's started getting into the film, he's always been working out, boxing. He's always kept himself in shape. So it's not a new thing for me to see him in shape at this age.
Right?
Because he's always been athletic. So, but yeah, you're right. He looks good for his age.
Yeah, I mean, I got a beach bod too, but it's more of a beach whale bod.
I get it. And then and then Al Pacino, all his movies, man, has been fantastic. I've been following him since I was small. And you want to know how great God is, and I'm thankful for everything God has given me, and the position that He has given me as a podcast, and the heart that He has provided me with, right? Because in the midst of me doing what I do, I've met so many amazing people. But what are the chances, right, Aaron? What are the chances of you going to California and sitting down, eating breakfast, conversating with his stepmom,
Really?
Miss Catherine Colbert Pacino? Big shout out to Miss Catherine Colbert Pacino. Love you. Happy
Yeah.
birthday. And her husband, Bill. Amazing people I met in California. So, you know, this is why I say that I don't know where my career is going, but I know that I'm heading the right path.
Right.
You know, I'm meeting a lot of interesting people in California, and anywhere I go, I'm God is putting amazing people in my path, um, because I always wanted to become a big actor. That's been my
Right.
biggest thing, and the opportunities are coming. Slow, but it's okay because what I've learned through my lifetime is to be patient.
Right.
Um, you know, things don't come when you want it to. They come when God provide them to you. So you have to be patient. It's okay to want things and think about them and dream about them. But if that's your dream, then what you have to do is put the effort in. God is going to put everything in place for you. You just got to go out there and get it. And that's
Hmm.
what I've learned, um, to spread my wings, right?
Right.
Because if I wouldn't take these, tr- um, uh, if I won't travel to where I need to travel to be able to involve myself with the circle, then I wouldn't be in the position I am, because sometimes people think that things are going to come to you. That things don't come to you. You got to go get them, right? So this podcast showed me that, okay, I want to be in this type of circle. What do I need to do? Well, when I get invited to these events where there's going to be celebrities, there's going to be actors, I need to be there, right?
Right.
So that's how I get a lot of my guests on my show and through word of mouth. Um, but mainly because I put myself in those places where I need to be able to have these doors open, and meet amazing people. I'm going in March. I'm going to Las Vegas, and and I'm going to look. It's so funny. I was just talking to you about Miss Catherine, and look, she texts me. I love her to death. So I'm going to Las Vegas for this movie called Horror Finds with Sean C. Phillips. He's the director, and Nicole
Okay.
Vega, which is the producer. Big shout out to her. Because of her, I'll be in this film out in Las Vegas, and I will. One of the people that's gonna be in that movie is his name is Spencer Brislin. He was in the movie
Ring the bell.
The Cat. He was in the movie The Cat in the Hat, The Santa
Okay.
Claus 2 and 3, The Shaggy Dog, Some Kind of Hate. So he's going to have the lead role. So, these are the people that I'm going to be surrounding myself with Hollywood
Right.
actors. And that's something I dreamed all my life, Aaron, to be a star. And even if I don't become a big star or whatever, I'm okay with the fact that, at least I got that close. I got to see people that I looked up to when I was young.
Right.
Because, not just because you be around celebrities and you do things with celebrities doesn't mean that you're going to be successful. Doesn't mean that you're going to, become this big star.
Right.
Because, you know, just the way it is. It all depends it all depends on what dices fall your way. And
Right.
and if someday I get a lead role, if I can get a lead role, maybe that might open doors for me to be in bigger things. I've always said I would like to do a movie with what's his name? Jeez, he did the movie Fast and the Furious. The bald guy. What's his name again?
Oh, Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, because I'm bald, but we got kind of the same body. So I was thinking maybe we can do like a kind of like a duet, kind of side by
Right.
side, like maybe in a action movie, something like that.
Right.
So I just don't know where I know where I'm heading. I know where I want to go.
Right.
I just don't know what God has planned for me.
Well, I can say two things about all that. The first one is, and this is the reason why I ended up coming back to Minnesota.
Okay.
One of the worst things anybody can go through in life is waking up one day and you're 50, 60 years old, and you look at yourself in the mirror and you wonder, what if?
Good point. I say it all the time.
And when you decide you want to, grab life by the horns and you really want to take charge and you go after your dream, I heard something, and it was meant to have to be a spiritual thing, but I also feel like it applies to the natural life. And it showed Jesus, the expression is Jesus is sitting at a smelting furnace, and he's got silver inside the crucible, and he keeps wiping the top and sticking it back in the fire, heating it up, and he keeps wiping the top and sticking it back in the fire. And somebody went up to him and asked him, why do you do that so many times? And Jesus says, it's not perfect until I see my reflection. So while that has that spiritual twist on it, I feel it applies to everyday life, because if you want something to be at its best for you, you have to put in the work, no matter how hot it gets.
Mm-hmm. That's right, 100%.
So,
right. And whatever you put out to the universe, whatever you put out, it's what comes back.
mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that. That's why I try to keep a good energy, good spirit, all the time.
Right.
And I try to watch what I say, because the devil's always listening.
Yeah.
And
all
so,
right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, even now I think back, I was like, I probably shouldn't have said that to that person.
right.
And that's not something that anybody should ever have to do. You should never look back at your life with any kind of regret.
That's right.
So, well, I think we will call this a show.
Thank you.
No problem. Glad you can come here. Definitely enjoyed having you on this show. I will probably be talking to you again.
Okay.
Yeah, before we close out, spit your spiel, man. Let everybody know where they can find you, how they can get a hold of you, what to expect, anything coming up.
Okay, so real quick, I just want to shout out P3 Family, Parapost Network. Want to shout you out, Aaron, Squeakers, Matt. You already know the vibes. And all my viewers that watch the Don Vic Show. If you haven't been on my show, you want to come on my show, just reach out. inbox me, the Don Vic Show, Victor Santiago on Facebook. You can watch my show on PARAPOST Network, Facebook, and YouTube. Just go to the Don Vic Show on YouTube, subscribe, free subscription, and you can watch the show. And coming up, I'll be in Vegas in March for a movie out there, and I'll be interviewing some actors and celebrities out there in March in Vegas. Big shout out to Nicole and Sean and everybody that's going to be in that cast. Alonzo, Johnny Alonzo, Shannon Lemire, Dennis Marlin, everybody, because there's too many people for me to shout out.
Right.
So,
sure.
Big shout out to you guys. Mark Lee, you already know, love you guys. And Marcus and the Minnesota Spirit, man.
Right. All right. Well, again, thanks for being on the show. If you want, you can stick around in the back room, and I will close this out.
Okay.
So, I certainly wish you all the best in what my broadcast needs a new chair. Anyway, I certainly wish you all the best in everything that you're pursuing, and I hope for nothing but the greatest success for the Don Vic Show. And yeah, it's been a real pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
So I will see you again, and I'll see you shortly.
Right. Peace.
Take care. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody putting up with this show and putting up with me, as I am not as illustrious as the great Marcus Welly, but he will be back on, and it's going to be a great thing in the future for Minnesota Spirit Hunters. I've been talking with him. He's got some big plans, and it's going to be fantastic. So if you haven't already, please go to the Don Vic Show, hit subscribe, like, follow, share. If you like Minnesota SpiritCast, do the same thing for us here. And we will try to catch you again. In the meantime, be safe, be smart, stay spooky.
As soon as you walk into this tunnel, you get that instant vibe that something is going on. They say if you walk into the tunnel and you put a match or a lighter, I think it's a match, you put to the wall, you will hear a scream. You start hearing some voices, you start hearing footsteps.
Is there anyone down here?